a lot of times I noticed that with my writing from the past, it was really encouraging even myself. And so now I understand that there's healing in writing.
What was the first song that you wrote that someone said, that touched me?
The first song I wrote was entitled Alphabets to Heaven. There's a part at the end of the song that tells the people that you don't have to worry because you're going to see your loved ones one day in heaven, and you're going to see those who was very tremendous in your life. You're going to see them one day.
How are you doing community outreach, and what are some of the initiatives you have in the communities today?
Feeding the homeless, from helping people that's less fortunate. And so that's my objective, is to go out and to touch people's lives by helping them and actually showing them that I love them and not just saying it.
Man, that was deep.
The final words that I would like to leave with the people is, don't allow your WAIT to become your WEIGHT.
Welcome to Mick Unplugged, where we ignite potential and fuel purpose. Get ready for raw insights, bold moves, and game-changing conversations. Buckle up. Here's Mick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Mick Unplugged, and we have something special for you today. Today's guest is a force of inspiration, resilience, clarity, and wisdom. He's blazing trails and igniting hearts through every message that he brings. He's got a mission, he's got a vision, and he's talking to us about the journey of how we can live more boldly. It is my distinct honor to introduce the phenomenal, the dynamic, the visionary, and the fearless Mr. Byron Walker. My pastor, how you doing today, brother?
Thank you so much. Listen, I'm wonderful. I'm honored to be here.
I am so honored that you were here. You know, it seems like now social media is the way of the world, and that's how we got to know each other, right? Like, I was a big
Yes.
fan of the content that you were putting out, and then you surprised me and messaged me that you were a fan of the content I was putting out, and it was like, you know what? We definitely got to link up, because for the past 6 or 7 months, like, I have been a true believer and follower of you. So again, just honored to have you on, brother.
Oh, wow. Listen, I'm grateful. I appreciate it. I'm a fan of yours.
Yeah, man. So, we were talking offline, and again, knowing who you are, you were talking about, growing up military brat, right? Like, military, always moving. And one of the things that I know about people like you, right? Like, it's hard to find and deliver those roots. So for everybody that's listening, man, like, talk to us a little bit about who Byron Walker is, and the roots that you've been able to plant for yourself today.
Well, again, I'm Byron Walker. I was born into a military family growing up with my mom and my dad, and just living everywhere. Was born in Blytheville, Arkansas. And from there, about 11 months later, we moved to England. My oldest brother was born in England. And so we lived everywhere. We lived in Florida. Spent most of my time in Atlanta, Georgia as well. And so I'm a recording artist. I sing, I do everything. So that's who I am.
Byron does it all, man. And you're all about uplifting people. And, on Make Unplugged, we talk about your because, that thing that's deeper than your why, your true purpose, your true mission. So for those that are listening that aren't following you yet, and I promise Byron's an amazing follower, what is your because today? Like, if I were to say, what's the why behind your why, what would that be today?
My because is, if I can save people or change their life and help them, then what am I doing it for? And so my because is to help others and to inspire them.
That's amazing. And what are the things that you're doing today? Like, I know music is a big part of what you do. The ministry is a big part of what you do.
Mhm.
Go a little bit deeper into that, man. Like, what are some things that you're doing to help people?
I'm a writer, and so since I was young, I was always writing. I started writing when I was 5 years old, wrote my first song when I was 5. And so a lot of times I noticed that with my writing from the past, it was really encouraging even myself. And so there's others that would tell me, hey, I love your writing. I love your songs. And it's encouraging me. I could have been dealing with depression, but your songs uplifted me. And so that gave me the boldness to keep doing it, and gave me the passion to keep writing. And so now I understand that there's healing in writing. And so that's one thing that I do. I inspire people. I tell people all the time that if you can't reach them physically, you can write something that can transform their life. And writing, even if you're not overseas or going overseas, your writing could get there quicker than you can. And so there's people overseas, and even in America, that I just like to inspire.
That's amazing. And so knowing that you had this power, because to me it is a power, right? It's a superpower to be able to put words to meaning, to put words to purpose. But you did this at 5, and at 5 you knew you were doing that, man. Like, what was that like? 5 years old when most people are like still taking naps, right? Because you're in kindergarten.
Right.
Byron's like, nah, give me a pen and a pad and let me do what I do. Like, what was that like for you, brother?
I just knew I was different growing up, and, even when I was in school, from elementary to middle school, even in high school, I was always writing. The teacher would be teaching, and they would be like, "Byron, stay focused. You're not focused." But I was not focused on what they was teaching. I was focused on writing, and I knew that was an ability that God gifted me with. And so when I was 5, I wrote my first song. Of course, being 5 years old, your lyrics is not going to be the same as if you're grown. And then grammar, punctuation, everything was out of place. And believe it or not, I still have that song to this day when I was 5, and I go back and look at it, and I'm like, laughing at it because I was like, wow, I literally wrote a song when I was 5. And so that's just something I've always done while others was playing. I mean, of course I would play, but then I would get to the table in the kitchen. It's something about being in the kitchen table that I get inspired writing at the kitchen table. And so that's where I was spending most of my time writing as a child at the kitchen table.
What was the first song that you wrote that someone said, "That touched me," and you knew that you were actually making a difference?
Wow. The first song I wrote was entitled Alphabets to Heaven.
Okay. Tell us about that song.
So this is a song. A lot of my music I write is very different. And so one day I was saying the alphabets, and then so God gave me a song dealing with how to get to heaven, teaching them how to get to heaven, but using the alphabets to do it. And so we go from A to Z, and teach people how to get to heaven. And so that was like one of those songs that really inspired people. And then there's a part at the end of the song that tells the people that you don't have to worry because you're going to see your loved ones one day in heaven, and you're going to see those who was very tremendous in your life. You're going to see them one day. And so that was really one of the songs that really inspired a lot of people. And so I wrote that when I was 16, actually.
Wow, that's amazing. So at 16, you wrote a song that was touching lives and you never stopped, right? And so that's led to Byron Walker Ministries. Tell us a little bit about the Byron Walker Ministries.
I'm just a voice in the wilderness, prepare you the way of the Lord. And so that's what I do. My job is to inspire people. I tell people all the time, I'm not big on titles. I'm not big on calling me a prophet or a pastor. I'm just me, and I just like to be a light. That's one thing I tell people is that we have to be a light to people. There's a saying that says you could take a horse to a well, but you can't make him drink. That's actually partially true. Because what happens is those that own horses, they know that even if the horse doesn't drink, they can make the horse drink. How do they do that? By putting a salt slab in the horse's mouth. And so eventually, when they put that salt slab in the horse's mouth, it begins to crave water. And so we are the salt of the earth. The scripture says in the gospel that we are the salt of the earth. And if the salt loses its savior, where shall it be salted again? So even if they don't want what I have to offer, I got to continue to be the salt.
Mm. We just went to church. I told everybody he's my pastor. He gives it to me like I like it. So I know also with your ministry, you're really big on community, right?
Yes.
And so how are you doing community outreach and what are some of the initiatives you have in the communities today?
Feeding the homeless, from helping people that's less fortunate. That's the big thing about ministry. You never want to just do ministry. I tell people the biggest ministry is not just behind the mic and behind the pulpit. The biggest ministry is cleaning the toilet at church or going out in the community and helping somebody. Because if I can't help you, then what's the point of doing ministry? And so that's my objective, is to go out and to touch people's lives by helping them and actually showing them that I love them and not just saying it.
Mm. And I know right now you're based, you said in Texarkana, Texas, right?
Yes, sir.
Is your community basically there or are you doing it across the country as well?
Across the country. I actually travel. I travel a lot, to be honest. And so that's what I'm doing a lot. And so while I'm here in Texarkana, I usually just visit churches, but my main church is in Atlanta, Georgia, actually.
Okay. Okay. What are some of the other places that you travel to for the ministry?
Travel to California, from San Jose, California to Florida, to Atlanta, Georgia all the time, Dallas, Texas all the time, Houston all the time. And so this year I want to do more traveling overseas, like the UK or even Dubai.
Ooh, okay. So speaking of this year, like what's one big goal that you have for the ministry this year? And then I'm going to follow that up with another question.
The biggest goal I have for the ministry this year is actually doing more than I did in the previous years. If I can help more people, that's really what I desire to do this year,
Okay.
feeding more people or even encouraging more people.
Okay. So I was going to say the follow up was going to be what's Byron's big goal for the year, but it sounds like it's tied to the ministry, huh?
Yes, sir.
Cool. What are some ways that people can help you with the ministry? Like, what are some things that we can be doing with you and in order to support you?
I just tell people to just be there, be present, even just showing that you support by even sharing. Shares is everything. Whether it's sharing ministry, whether it's sharing preaching, whether it's sharing a flyer, even a support, far as like even sewing and partnershiping with the ministry as well. It helps me to do ministry more.
Okay. I dig that. So we'll definitely make sure that we do that. You know, again, been a big follower of yours, specifically on Instagram. And I would love for you to talk through, how important or how powerful is and or can social media be when you are doing and developing a ministry and growing a ministry?
It's very powerful. I was having a conversation recently with somebody. I went to a church. I'm not to say the church's name, but I asked the pastor, did they take Cash App? Did they use Cash App, Zelle, or PayPal? And did they have anything as far as on media that they did? They didn't do none of that because there was really old school. And so I said to my friend, I said, they actually missing out on money because they don't have any of the, I mean, technology has advanced. And so they don't have Zelle, they don't have Cash App. They was just like, you can write a check or even give cash. But then even far as the media, they didn't have no social media presence. It wasn't a Facebook. It wasn't an Instagram page for the ministry. And so there wasn't a lot of people there. And so my thing is for social media, it's very imperative that we use social media and utilize it because the masses we can reach. Even if they're not physically present in your church, there's people that could be an online member. Overseas, there's people in Germany, there's people in France, England, anywhere that would definitely want to be an online member just by your social media presence. So it's very, very key to have a good social media presence and to be consistent with it.
For the person or entity that either has a ministry or looking to start a ministry, what are some tips you give them to start in this digital social way? Like, what are some things that they could do today to get started?
I just say start. Start. Just create content. That's the thing. And don't always look at the numbers. Don't always look at the numbers. Don't always look at the following. Start even if it's 5 people, but
Mm.
encourage that 5 people and be consistent with those 5 people as well.
Yeah, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, right?
Yes, that's
Right, and
it.
I think sometimes people miss that point, and they think that if they're not gonna be a mega church or an online mega community, that it's
Mhm.
not impactful, and you're telling me and what I'm hearing and what I see with you is focus on the one soul that you're trying to talk to, right? And if
Yes,
you do that, you're doing the work that you were set out to do.
yes, exactly.
Man, so what else do you have upcoming? Like, what's new on the horizon for Byron Walker?
I have my prophetic conference I always do yearly. And so that will be towards the later part of the year. It's the prophetic impartation conference. And so I did that last year. It was amazing. I had people like Ernest Pugh came down, my pastor came down, Apostle Brian Andrew Wilson and others. So I'll be having that in October. Also, I'm releasing new music this year as well.
Mm. Tell us about the new music. What we got coming up?
Well, so I released a brand new project last year, and I said I want to do something different. So I think I'm going to do like an EP, something with like 5 or 6 songs. But the music is going to be totally different from what I normally do. I want to do some country gospel or even some pop gospel, just something totally different.
Okay, okay. What
Yes,
is
sir.
your favorite social platform, or where do you want people to find and follow you?
My favorite platform is Instagram,
Mm.
and also my second favorite is Facebook.
Okay, okay. And then do you have a website where people can find, or is it mainly just social?
Yes, sir. It's Byron Walker Ministries.com.
Oh. Easy enough. So ByronWalkerMinistries.com.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
make sure we have that in the description and show notes. So Byron, I want to ask you something for the listener, the viewer that is facing challenges in resiliency and faith. What's some advice, some expert advice that you have for them?
I would tell anybody that the first thing is to believe even when you can't see it. There's a movie which I'm big on scenarios and I'm big on I'm a visual person. And so there's a movie we saw named Ray Charles. And there was a part in the movie where Ray Charles was going blind, if you all remember. And so that it was a point where his mother would tell him, baby, you're gonna have to stop crying. You have to learn how to hear. I need you to hear more than because you can't see, you're going blind, so you gotta listen more. And so there was a part of the movie where it flashes back to when he was a little boy and he falls in the kitchen. And so his mother is in the kitchen and he's crying the whole time, but his mama doesn't come to his aid. And so, as he's crying, he says, okay, I'm going to get enough strength to pick myself up because nobody's coming to help me. So let me stop crying and pick myself up and let me learn to listen. And so he listens and he says, Mom, you're in the kitchen. He said, I can hear you in the kitchen. And I think a lot of times we as people, when it comes to faith, is because we can see it, we feel depressed or we feel sad or we feel out of place. But I tell people all the time, when you can't see God working, you have to know that he's working behind the scenes.
Man, that was deep. To be able to parallel the story, and you're exactly right, man. Like that's amazing. And that's also one of my favorite scenes in Ray as well, too, right? Because he
Yes.
knows where his mom is at and he can kind of point you over there. And then
Yes.
he finds the grasshopper, right? Or the bug or whatever that was on the ground that he could actually hear.
Yeah.
And then that became a turning point for him because he realized that, yeah, with faith, we always are expecting God to walk to us. And sometimes it's like, you've got to take those steps because God's always going to be there. But he's wanting to see, are you willing to take the steps to come to me as well, too? Because that's where the real journey for me personally, that's where the real journey in faith kind of begins, right? Like God's
Mhm.
always there, right?
Yes.
But do we want to depend or be dependent, or do we want to be able to take those steps and meet God where we're supposed to? So I appreciate that, brother.
My pleasure.
I totally appreciate that. So, as we wrap this up, man, like, what's something else you want the viewers and listeners to know about Byron Walker, Byron Walker Ministries?
Also, I have books out. I would like them to know that I'm a writer, which, not just a songwriter, but I actually have children's books as well as inspirational books out. One of my biggest books is Regaining Your Spiritual Authority. And so that is one of my most popular books, teaching the people about how to speak positive words into the atmosphere. So that's one thing I really want people to know and to understand that we have purpose and there's destiny attached to all of us. And so there's no such thing as we don't know what our purpose is because we're living and breathing. We have purpose.
That's it. And I love that the power of words. And a lot of times we hear about the power of spoken words, but
Yes.
what I gain from Byron is the power of written words too, right?
Mhm.
Because those are things that are always going to live forever, right? Books,
Yes.
I guess now we've got the internet and social media, but like those words truly live forever. So it's important to be purposeful, as you just said with
Mhm.
the words, be intentional with the
Yes.
words, but also be led with the words that you're talking about too. So
Yes.
where can people buy these books? I'm assuming Amazon direct on the website as well too.
Yes, sir. They're available everywhere. The Target.com, Walmart.com, anywhere, but a majority of them are on Amazon, or you can buy them from my website. If you want a signed copy, they're available on my website.
Look at that. Signed copies as well too. So how about we do this for the Mick Unplugged audience? The first 10 people, and everybody knows I do this and they get their stuff. So the first 10 people that message me, Byron Walker Ministries, I
Byron
will
Walker.
personally purchase the 10 books and make sure
Wow.
that they go to you as well too. So that's what I'm gonna do for the
Oh,
avid followers and listeners that we have.
man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You got it. You got it. So any final words of wisdom that you want to give the people, the floor is yours, sir.
The final words that I would like to leave with the people is don't allow your weight to become your weight. Don't allow your WAIT to become your WEIGHT.
Those words. See what I'm saying? Those words, man. Like, I promise you, if you follow Byron on Instagram, that's where I follow him, you're gonna get confirmation like that every day. And it's timely, right? Like, don't
Wow.
wait on your wait. Like, that's timely, right?
Wow.
Like
Appreciate it.
somebody needed to hear that today, right?
Yes.
Like that is so timely, brother. Byron, I know you're busy. I just want to say again, I'm so thankful that you took some time to bless us. Can't wait to one day we're gonna meet up in person. When you're in Atlanta,
Yes.
that's not far from me. We're gonna break bread. We're gonna have some great conversations over a meal
Oh,
and
yes.
and be fed together, brother. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Listen, it's an honor just to be here. I'm grateful to be on your podcast.
You got it. And for all the viewers and listeners, remember your because is your superpower. Go unleash it.
Thank you for tuning in to Mick Unplugged. Keep pushing your limits, embracing your purpose, and chasing greatness. Until next time, stay unstoppable.